Welcome to this week's episode talking about creative marketing strategies. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's podcast. I am Chad Owen, the owner of Retirement Realized Financial, Retirement Realized Agents Academy, Heaven's Armory, Increase You, Eagle Shadow Life and Annuity.
All of them.
Eagle Shadow
Holdings.
Holdings.
You know what's funny is we're talking about marketing.
J333 Ventures.
We're talking about marketing strategies, and literally our marketing guy has told me multiple times, Caleb, you gotta get Chad to quit saying he's the owner of all the companies before you get into the quality of the content. He's like, you gotta get into the content.
You know what? I am one of those
plugs.
horses that's hard to rein in. I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
You get what you get.
Well, that's my analogy, right? Sitting here, co-hosting these podcasts with you is like, imagine trying to stop the bull in the china shop from inside the china shop.
Is there anything less than co-hosting? Because I don't know if it's co-hosting. It would be like
Sub-hosting?
Sub-hosting? that might be. Yeah, that might be. Because I don't know. Co-hosting gives you way too much authority. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, because you're not like co-founder or anything.
Not co-founder, no.
No. But
co-laborer.
There you go. Now you're going biblical on me.
Co-laborer.
Co-laborer in Christ. Yeah. We are all. Paul talks about that, how we're co-laborers in Christ.
Come on.
So, okay.
Marketing strategies.
I just showed you how to market and strategy.
Yeah. So if you're looking for any of those other things, you know where to go. It's funny because actually next week we'll be talking about branding. So we will actually be plugging Increase You.
Well, in all fairness, you guys know I own multiple companies, but I'll tell you the branding, I'm getting branding for a company called Eagle Shadow Holdings, which is just a commercial real estate company. And the branding I'm looking at going, oh my gosh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that if my life depended on it. Somebody stuck a gun to my head and said, make a brand. Okay, I'm not going to be able to do it.
My branding, the extent of that is in cattle. That's as far as mine goes. I'm helping my brother make one right now. And don't ask me to digitize it.
Yeah. Well, because, you got to be really good in this industry of what you do, but realize there's people way better, because I hear agents try that all the time. I'm going to create my own brand. I'm going to make my own logo. I'm going to create my own website. And I'm just going, there are so many things that you need to know when making that effective and right. What colors are working. Like I wanted a certain color scheme that I love across the board. It's black, gray, and red. Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite. But he goes, no, you can't have all companies with the same color. And I'm like, why? It's like, it makes it fluid. And he goes, because there's nothing differentiates between the companies. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I know, you're the expert. And that's so important, though, when it comes to marketing, is making sure you have the right people doing that. Well,
so when I see and I hear of agents, and golly, we could do this, hit this again
Sponsored
next week.
By.
Yeah, right. When I hear of agents that kind of buy into that mentality of, oh, I'm going to do this myself, it's because they've bought into the cost benefit side, but they have not considered the time benefit side.
So the day it takes me to make that brand in my website, I could have sold $500,000 in annuities.
Exactly. So they look at the cost and they think, okay, I can save this much money, but they don't consider how much more they're losing by spending the time on it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if you're producing, you are better off in the field and have the experts around you. I mean, that's just the truth.
Thing. I've never really realized that. That's one of the biggest challenges I have with agents, is getting them to focus on the one thing, which is representing your products and meeting with clients.
Right.
Not all this other stuff. I have had agents that I knew would have been incredible that get sidetracked, and they're doing everything other than making calls.
Right.
Everything other than running appointments. And they're wondering why they're not making the business or doing the business they need to.
Right.
When I know, because of their skill set, they could easily write 10, 15 million a year.
Totally.
I know they could.
Right.
But because they won't focus on what they're good at and let other people do what they're better at than you, they never get that far ahead.
No. Yeah, it's true. I recommend, this is something that I've tried to implement in my daily schedule that I think would be powerful for agents to consider doing as well. It's natural for people to want to do the fun thing first. The problem is, even the fun things, yes, they fill you up, but they still take capacity, mentally, emotionally, physically, all the things. So then you get to the hard tasks, and they seem that much more challenging.
Then why do I wait to make calls till 4:30 at the end of the day?
Right. That's what, well, I think that's just, but you're hitting it on the front end of the week.
True.
You know?
Okay.
So if you do the hard things first, you do the
isn't
daunting
Sunday the
tasks.
first day of the week?
Well, technically, yeah, but it's still in the weekend.
Because I don't work on Sunday.
I don't either.
Okay.
But if you do the hard tasks first, you do the big things first, the daunting things first, you're on a downhill slope from there.
Yeah.
You know, get to the summit, the hard things, and then ride it out the rest of the day.
But do you know most people die on the way down from the mountain than climbing up?
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes,
So
because they're tired.
that kind of negatively impacts my analogy.
I know, that's
there.
why. Which anytime I can go against what you're trying to say, I'm going to do that.
Oh, I know. It's a fact. Contradictions all the time.
Yeah. It's most people die. More people die on the way down than they do the way up. First of all, you're exhausted on the way up. Second of all, you're just more complacent because you're focused on the top part that you don't realize. I mean, how many people focus, let's say in Everest, they focus on what? What's their number one goal?
Get to the top.
Yeah. You don't say, my number one goal is to get back to the bottom, which is interesting when you think about it.
Yeah.
And often in our industry, we're so focused on the number one thing is get the sale. Mm-hmm. What about taking care of the client afterwards?
Oh, yeah. What about the
What
back
about
end?
making sure you're available? What about when they look you up on a website because they lost your number that they can find you?
Right.
You know, I would say it's just as important to get back down to the bottom as it is to get to the top.
Totally. Get back into the serve mode.
Nice try on the analogy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we took it a step further, and I'd say a step better.
Yeah,
So
I would
pretty
say.
good. That's pretty good.
Don't they call that the Hillary step? We're going to change that to the Chad step. We're going to create my own step in the business process. Getting back down.
I like it. It is important, while we're talking about this, and we've hit branding a little bit already, but it is important to remember that marketing systems are only going to be as effective as your ability to do something with them.
100%.
I mean, unless you have basically a drive-through restaurant where clients come up to the window and tell you what you want, and all you're responsible to do is fulfill the order.
What you want?
What they want?
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a second.
Yeah, they tell you what they want.
I'm going to tell you what you want. You're going to want to serve me this burger now. That's what you're going to want to do. I want something that has no cockroach eggs on it.
All right. But unless we get to that point, which we won't and we can't, you've got to be able to have a good system and process on the back end. You've got to be able to educate people and help find the problem and find the best solution.
Well, you think about how many industries out there, they require continuous education.
Ours.
You know, ours is absolutely one of them, but there's so many engineers. Anything in the tech world. I know some people that are heavy into the tech world, and they talk about how you have to study every day because literally it can change all the time on them. Newest, latest, greatest thing. Our industry is the same thing. I was talking to a client recently, and they said, how would you compare the products of what you had 15, 20 years ago to what you have now?
Oh, insane.
I'm like, wow, they've really adapted. They've really changed. But
Indices
that's part
alone.
of absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say for the better. I mean, there's some agents that will disagree with that, but I'll say for the better.
Sure.
But I think, the process and the system is all about learning and getting better and making sure you're aware of every situation that's coming up within reason. Mm-hmm. But that's all about the system process. System and process is also about, when you're, how did we even get into this? Weren't we talking about marketing strategies?
Yeah, and we'll get to them.
But
these are some good trails, though, I think.
It is, because what good is if you do all this marketing and everything, but you don't know how to market yourself? How do you market yourself? By being the expert.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a lot of my marketing is when they find out, like this year, I'm over 20 million for the year.
Yeah.
My goal is
Crazy.
27 million by mid-June.
Yeah.
And I can say that to clients. I can say I have almost $250 million I've written in annuities since 2008. which is just crazy to me. I mean, just the number alone is crazy to me. And that's accelerating more and more because there's more and more business being written because people know who I am.
Yeah.
You know, when they get, if you Google Chad Owen Annuities, I mean, you can do this. Got Chad Owen Annuities, Chad Owen Safe Money, Chad Owen Retirement. You can see my name is everywhere.
Right.
And that's because we started marketing a long time ago. It is not an overnight success. You're not going to go viral writing an annuity for anybody. It's just not going to be a massive topic.
Right.
But I do have clients that I work with, and I just had it again. I helped him with $350,000, but I got referred to a guy that has over $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's because they know I can be found.
Right.
They know I have a very professional website.
Yep.
And they know that all they have to do, if they forget something, you just put in Chad Owen Retirement, and they can find me anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the record, we will get into these creative marketing strategies for you today.
Well,
we will hit those.
Let's do it.
But I do want to say this term just hit my head. It's creative. It's that a good brand is like a primo. And what I mean by that is it's a promotion, but it precedes you ever interacting with them.
Agreed.
Right? So if you build a brand around expertise, and now you have a client that referred another client to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Your brand is going to be experienced by the secondary client before you ever even talk to them or meet with them.
Point.
By nature of their friend referring them.
Good point.
Them going to your website, looking for your stuff. So that is again, creative term, primo. It's a promo that precedes you ever interacting with them. And that's what a good solid brand will do for you.
But as in primo of the beer, we're not talking about that.
Correct.
Because there's nothing that has beer, the taste or the smell that should be called primo
anything. I would disagree on all fronts there, but to each his own. A good way to think of this is the analogy we always use is good marketing is like fuel to the car, right? Your process will determine the fuel economy, but you got to have fuel to run.
Yep.
Right. So what you do with the fuel you're given, that'll determine how far you go and how much you write, but ultimately it is needed. 4 ideas, and we can break each one down. Idea number 1, just starting real basic, company merch. Now, this doesn't really...
So I'm going to start selling my shirts? Is that what?
No, but having it.
Yeah.
Right? Wearing it, repping it.
Yep.
I mean, I was on a plane.
That is actually a big deal when you wear what you have. I would agree with that. Yeah.
I was on a plane for an hour from Kentucky to Atlanta earlier this week, and I had a hour-long conversation with a lady who was 60 years old. She ended up taking my business card. I didn't have my merch on there. Or I didn't have any, company stuff on me. Had I, it would have been very clear to her what I do. Instead, I had a conversation. What I'm saying is there are people in your everyday world. You're walking around, they see stuff. Yep. They may ask you. It's not that you're trying to treat every person you come across like the next deal. I highly discourage that mentality. That'll drive you into the ground.
Absolutely. But I know a guy that he's in a city of, I think 70, 80,000, if I remember correctly. But he's known as the safe money guy.
That's his brand.
That's his thing.
Probably wears stuff out
safe
and about.
Money guy. He's on billboards. He wears it on jackets. That's his thing. And now I would never do that. And my wife would never let me do that. Sure. I have a hard time even wearing my, what do they call them? Graphic tees. She's like, can you wear something different this time?
She'd rather you wear a shirt like this.
That is true. Not exactly.
Not this pattern.
No,
but
definitely.
This is my kind of pattern.
Yeah, that's your pattern.
Yeah.
But
it's my brand.
Sure. But that, that's, I mean, even on the vehicle, everywhere he goes, that's what he's known as.
Right.
And so when you're in smaller areas, that's sometimes what it takes.
Totally.
Your marketing is literally what you're driving, what you're wearing, where you're going. Absolutely.
And it's not that expensive to have it. And it conveys a very high level of professionalism if you do.
Yeah.
I mean, big companies have that kind of stuff. So people see that. It changes the perception from just individual sales rep for an insurance company to this guy's operating a business.
For sure.
And that is critical in this line of work.
Agreed completely.
Okay, number 2, email marketing. This is huge. This is big. gargantuous. If you don't have it, you need it. You're missing out.
I write
big
millions a year off of email marketing. And these are people that anytime, whether it's internet, whether it's radio, whether it's anything, any lead source I get that's coming in that has an email, we capture that.
Yeah.
And we reach back out because they reached out to us first. I do not go and buy email lists.
No.
That is not right.
It's people that
But
reached
these are
out to
people
you.
have reached out to me saying they want information. Well, let's say I get in touch, and I'm just going to use numbers. I get in touch with half the people. And then I actually meet with that. And I mean, I know our closing rate's high this year, but if I have people I don't close, they still have the email address. So 2-3 years down the road, they're going, you know what? The market was doing really well. Now it's not. And then they reach back out to you. Why? You're still doing an email campaign about every 2 weeks. My clients get an email with something pertaining to retirement. And they reach back out to me. Millions of dollars I've written using that.
Yeah.
And it's because maybe at the first time, number one, I didn't get in touch with them. Or number two, it just wasn't the time for them.
Right.
But now it is.
Yeah. Good email marketing will do a couple of things for you. There's some people that swear by the idea of segmenting, and you send, clients certain things and, prospects another thing. And I actually think that a good email marketing system will do both and simplify it for you because, number one, a good email marketing system is going to reinforce the purchase decision that clients already made and keep you in front of them. Number two, a good email marketing system will intrigue the prospects, especially in current market conditions, to actually reach out in the first place and rekindle that conversation.
Caleb, do we happen to have an email marketing system?
Chad, we do happen to.
Wow, we do. Well, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so you wrote a book, Stress and Rocking
Yes,
Chairs.
I did.
And we had, just phenomenal feedback from agents, not even the authors. Okay, bear in mind, other agents that ordered your book and then started distributing that to clients or prospects rather after the first appointment or whatever, saying, and I can't tell you how many agents I've talked to now, individual agents that each of them multiple times have now had clients or prospects turn into clients that when they were given the book, they read it, they reached back out to the agent asking, okay, how do we move forward with this? I understand what this concept is. Now let's get specific. How do we actually move forward?
This is written in English, not financialese. I mean,
Exactly.
I really want people to understand how this works and not in complicated terms.
Exactly.
But that's what we built the email. That's
what
not
we
what
did.
we built. That's what they built because I wrote the book. They did the rest.
Yeah.
But I think it would be good. And that's not a plug like trying to get you to do something. I do believe it'll bring value.
Oh, absolutely.
I really do.
Absolutely.
And so once again, reach out to Caleb if you're interested in that.
I love to talk with you.
But yeah, the email marketing I think is really important in general because out of sight, out of mind, right? I mean, you don't remember things, but if you're getting an email about every 2 weeks, and it's very rare that I get unsubscribed.
Right.
I mean, I probably pull in for every one unsubscribe, I have 25 or 30 that want to keep going. I mean, it's a list.
Right.
I think I'm over 5,200 names now.
And the
I
key
didn't
is adding
start
value
this
to keep
long
that.
ago.
Right.
I mean, it's probably halfway through my career. Yeah, I'd say about halfway I started capturing emails.
Yeah.
So it's not that long ago.
The key with good email marketing is that you've got good content and good calls to action. If all it is
good format, layout.
of course.
Don't do the traditional newsletter with the most recent recipe that grandma's cooking.
Yeah. It needs to look good. It needs to flow well. Content needs to be there because if all it is a sales piece, you're gonna have a way higher drop off rate. But if you're actually providing them value, things
Quality
they can
information.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Number 3, video marketing. Recording and communicating, sending these videos out to clients and prospects via email.
I need to get better at that.
Yeah, we highlighted this one for you because I think it could be.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for bringing the flaw in my armor.
But I got to
Are
think.
you saying we're doing that now?
What do you mean?
The video marketing?
Well, it's just something that agents would do within their own email sequence or systems or whatever. We are doing email marketing.
Yeah.
Video marketing is something where even if it was an iPhone, I recommend getting a tripod or something, set it up so it's stable at least.
Yeah.
iPhone cameras nowadays take great video.
They do really high quality.
You can record a video, you can embed that in an email, and you can send that out to people.
We maybe need to figure out a way to do video marketing, because it always motivates me when we're doing it for someone else that I can do it, to where I'm like going, okay, I'll lead that.
Right.
Because I always test all lead systems first before we ever promote them. But maybe we'll revisit that one.
Yeah, we absolutely will. But that's a good one for you to consider. And then the last one was actually good branding, which I think gets lumped into company merch, because you need to have branding beforehand. But this one works a little bit differently for me. We live in a time and day where it can be really hard to get leads on the phone. Prospects on the phone nowadays, especially with the robocalls.
Man, all the stupid robocalls.
I'm telling
drives me nuts.
So you leave a voicemail, and then they hear it's you, and then they get a name now or a company, and now they go to look for you before they call you back.
That's true.
So they're going to websites, they're going to social media.
That happens all the time now, where I call someone back and they go, "Oh yeah, I answered because I saw your website. I already looked and saw who you were." It happens. I think they guesstimate about 80%. I've seen multiple studies done this, but 80% of people that will actually look at your online presence, your branding, your marketing, whatever you're doing before they meet with you.
Right.
And I do it.
Totally.
I mean, I'm constantly looking at websites. We're looking at buying some Chocolate Lab puppies, and I'm going in a puppy, not puppies.
I love this.
But, I'm looking on there. I'm seeing what the reviews are. Does the website look like, you're someone generic did it,
right? Or was it?
Or does it look really sharp? Or the picture's good?
Right.
That's really important.
So what you're telling me, Chad, is you're not hunting Craigslist to find the dog from the backyard breeder that you want to have for the next 10 to 12 years.
No.
Okay, so you want quality.
Yes.
And you're determining quality in a large way by their internet presence, their branding.
100%, because there's some that are on there that I won't even meet with, because I looked at their website and I'm going, no.
And just practically, how much less important, I mean, not that a dog's not important, but how much less important is a dog than somebody's retirement?
Yep.
So if you're doing that for dogs, how much more are clients doing that with their... Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If their website doesn't look good, I'm not going to eat there. Unless I feel like, I don't know, there's some real dives that I might eat at, but that's because we're driving and we ask someone, hey, where's the best place to eat around here?
Right.
But it's not because I found them on the internet.
Yeah. Well, we're going to deep dive branding a little bit more and hit next week very specific pieces that are needed, exactly what branding is, how it works, and why it benefits you, obviously in much more detail in the next week's episode. But those are the 4 strategies I'd recommend you at least look into to get creative for the rest of 2022.
Awesome. I know we went a little long, but hey, we're not into trying to punch the clock. We want to make sure we get all the information to you. So I hope this helps you. You have a great day, and of course, happy selling.